Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Referral Exchange Networking's Business Enrichment Series. As we know, it always isn't easy to compete with companies that are bigger than you and have greater resources, but one advantage you can have is you can be smarter than they are. And we know as a small business, education is critical. That's why at Referral Exchange Networking, we try to make you just a little smarter every week. So let's get to it. Now, in the past, we've talked about how difficult it can be making decisions. I once likened my own decision-making process at times to that of a squirrel crossing the road. In that discussion, we considered different ways to make decisions. What we didn't discuss was what happens when we can't decide because we're overthinking and we get stuck in a feedback loop. Well, in a recent article in Inc. magazine, Lolly Daskal, president and CEO of Lead From Within, speaks about how thinking away to a decision is good, but overthinking it can cause problems. Overthinking clouds our judgment and elevates our stress. We spend too much time on negative outcomes and find it more difficult to act. She has several suggestions to help us stop overthinking. For starters, she encourages us to think less about what could go wrong and more about what could go right. If we only focus on the negative, all we'll generate is doubt and fear. We need to visualize what could go right and balance the negative positive scales. Just that small change in attitude, replacing the what if with we'll see, will go a long way towards shutting down the overthinking paralysis. She also advises us to put things in perspective. Our perspective is off when we allow possible negative outcomes to remain front of mind, which results in us making a mountain out of a molehill. We need to ask ourselves, how much will it matter in 5 years or even next month? It's a simple question, but changing up the time frame can help to shut down overthinking and realize that the mountain we had visualized is just a small hill. The biggest thing we can do to avoid overthinking, according to the author, is to stop waiting for perfection. As she points out, waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect set of circumstances is unrealistic, impractical, and debilitating. To quote the author, waiting for perfect is never as smart as making progress. Her next suggestion is one of my favorites. Put a timer to work. If you find yourself walking down that path of indecision and overthinking, put up a boundary. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Give yourself that time to think, to worry, to analyze. Once the timer goes off, take 10 minutes. Write down all the things that are worrying you, stressing you out, giving you anxiety. Just the act of putting pen to paper and seeing your fears in print will put them in perspective. Once the 10 minutes are up, throw the piece of paper out, move on to something more constructive. You don't need to make the decision right there. Let what you've thought about and written down process through your subconscious, and you'll find that making the decision is easier than you thought it would be. Now, she doesn't speak about mindfulness in her article, but she does emphasize that no one can predict the future. By overthinking, you're robbing yourself of the time you have right now. Yes, of course, planning is critical for future success, but spending your valuable time fretting about something that hasn't happened and might not happen is not productive. Amy Morton, writing in The Muse, advises that we keep our focus on coming up with a solution to the problem. Overthinking and problem solving are not the same thing. Simply dwelling on something is counterproductive, but actively looking for solutions is something we have control over. And it's the fear of not having control that pushes many of us into overthinking and inaction. So take control. I'll close with this thought from Malcolm Gladwell from his book, Blink, The Power of Thinking Without Thinking. There can be as much value in the blink of an eye as in months of rational analysis. Now, if you haven't read that book, I would strongly advise you pick up a copy. It's a great read, and pretty much anything that Malcolm puts out there is going to be good for you to think about, read when you're thinking about how to be successful in your business or even just in your life. All right, well, that's it for this week. I hope you get something out of it. If you'd like to talk about anything you just heard, or you'd like to know how you can grow your business by joining a referral exchange networking chapter, or even how to start your own, reach out to me at raustin@referralexchangenetworking.com. That's exchange with an X. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of this video. Well, thanks, folks, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Take care.